Hey, this is Jack Chris from Multiples Magic, and I'm always looking for something new to design my applications around, whether it's for an XR experience, virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality. A lot of times, since I'm a music producer, audio really drives my creative process. So when I was checking out my Google app, because it kind of knows what I'm into, it came up with a video on this. So what you see before you is the Wintermute Black Edition made by Sphereical Sound Society out of Portugal. Mine just came this week in my mailbox, so I'm anxious to get it going and check it out a little bit. It says to really try not to understand it, to get the feel of it. Even Sphereical Sound Society themselves talk about Wintermute as a strange machine. Difficult to define. It sits somewhere between a drum machine, a groove box, and an experimental generative synth. So without further ado, I'm going to just kind of dive right in, turn up the volume, and I'll explain all the buttons as an array of buttons and knobs. I'll get into those, but first, I suggest you just kind of dive in and find something that matches your flow. A lot of times, when you get this, your knobs will be turned all the way to the right. And the first thing I did was kind of like mess around with the BPM. So you can hear the engines that are running are based off of the classic Yamaha chips from old arcade machines and consoles. So if you're into that chip tune sound, this is for you. And as you can notice, I have mine hooked up to my Roland P6. It's a sampling, MIDI sampling synth. So I figured I'd mess around with that before I get into the Ableton Push 3 and bring it into Ableton. So it's really a machine to record because it's generative, and to try to get the same sound out of it each time is going to be difficult for you, but that's the whole fun of it. Pushing boundaries, discovering new textures. So I'm just going to start changing some of the knobs. So the knob I turned here is the bass register. You can hear the complex layers and textures. And sometimes you'll stumble across something that you really want to sample, so I'm going to do that right now. I got this running through, like I said, my Roland P6. So I'm going to, sorry about that overload. You have to delete a sample. So I'm going to do that. I cleared that up, and now it's ready to roll into this texture. I'm going to sample. I'm going to crush it down a little bit to get that lo-fi sound. It also provides a longer sample. There's a lot of tutorials about the P6, so I won't get into that. If you want me to put out a video out there on how I connected these two and got it working together, Feel free to leave a comment. All right, now it's normalizing and writing. I've got a copy of that here. All right, so I'll dive back in. Sorry about the sidetrack. You can feel that groove. It's meant to be recorded. So what I'm planning on doing is taking the audio from this video, feeding it into probably Ableton. Alright, now you've got a little sample of what it's like. Let me explain what the buttons are. So just the names first. We've got the left and right buttons, followed by the B, A. There's also a shift button located up here, kind of hidden away, but it's there. We have an array. We have 8 knobs. There's BPM, bass register, length, spread, combiner, X, Y, Z. So obviously the BPM controls your beats per minute. We'll increase the madness a little bit, or decrease. I like to bring it down to a BPM where you can just kind of feel it. You can feel the movement. And then the bass register is this knob. It selects the bass register of the sequencers, typically set near center. However, I mean, that's where I have it now. Slight tweaks provide huge differences. I mean, how cool is that? Sometimes I just want to let it play and listen and take it all in. Then you've got the length. Length is the knob here. This determines how many registers are written per step. Small adjustments have dramatic effects, so let's check that out. Almost feels like it's crushing it down a little bit. They recommend it works well adjusted to center. Let's go. Very cool. Next is the spread knob. This knob filters some commands of the sequences while allowing others to execute. You know, we've kind of found a sweet spot, so it recommends like finding your sweet spot for using the spread knob. Let's check it out. Love this sound, love it. In my design process for XR, VR applications, a lot of times I listen to music and let my mind wander. You could just imagine a landscape, a VR landscape, virtual landscape you could create with this. So inspiring. Next, we'll talk about the combiner knob. This recombines parameters like volume, pitch, and waveform in the sequences. It often works well in conjunction with the Y knob. Depending on the mode or position of other knobs, it can be subtle or quite noticeable. And they said, don't worry if sometimes it sounds like it does nothing, because it really needs to be used in conjunction. Next, we'll move on to the X knob. It's considered one of the main knobs that you'll be working with. So let me reset everything here. Get some flow back. Okay. So now with the X knob here, sounds a little filthy. Totally unique, totally different. I like stumbling across things with this. The Z knob is the last knob we'll talk about. It is typically set and forget. It determines the base structure of the sequences, like foundational map of rhythms and structures. Usually adjusted at the start of a theme, but let's see what happens now. Now onto the buttons. The left button here is a probability trigger for the banks. So you can see I'm letting this one run because I kind of like it. I'll separate the audio from the video, bring it into my workflow, sample it, chop it, add effects. Let's move on to the B button, which determines the length of the sequencers in bars. Oh, hold it, hit the brakes. Let's actually go back to the right button, which is a bank toggler. That's over here. So I'm going to move from left, probability, to right, bank toggler. There we go. Now I'm going to jump a little bit to the choral mode toggler here. This is the A button, choral mode toggler. Everybody get real quiet. Listen to the hiss. It's probably from my amplification through my Focusrite. All right, again. Okay, now it's time for B. Throughout the video, I've talked about the length of sequencers and bars. That's what button B is for, cycling through 2, 3, 4, 8, and 16 bars. Three, 4, 8, 16, and beyond. Back to where we started. One more button left to discuss. That is the shift key. As all shift keys, it's used in combination with other buttons. And this cycles through if you use it in combination with B, it cycles through the length backwards. So You can see that used in performances. Now it gets a real interesting. The other purpose for the function, or I'm sorry, the shift button, you use it in combination with the right button down here. And this toggles the wave cycler mode, so check this out. So there you have it, Wintermute Black. Infinite possibilities. If you like consistent sounds every time you sit down with a machine, this might not be right for you, but if you like experimenting, you like fresh new sounds, you like new textures, this thing will growl at you. It will give you warm textures as well. Once again, Wintermute Black, Sphereical Sound Society, made in Portugal. Dealt directly with the devs. Thank you, JC. Surface was awesome. Straight from Portugal to your home. Jack Chris, out.